tell us a bit about why you've applied for this position.
Okay, right in there. So basically, when I was at school, I did do a lot of stuff. Well, we didn't have a union, but obviously things for the student body. And I came to university and I just didn't do anything. And I was leaving, obviously 4th year, and I was just telling my friends about how sad it is that I'm leaving and I've practically done nothing. And then it just so happened I was talking to Lukman, who is running, and he's like, oh, it's not too late, you can run. I was like, oh, really? And then I just looked online and I saw this is perfect. So.
Okay. And what do you think you would bring to the role that sets you apart?
I think the fact that I've done, I'm a student ambassador and I've been for 3 years. And I've also done a lot of stuff with the my local community because I come from East London. So I think I know quite a lot about the issues that BME students face because I've had to face them myself. So I think that's the main thing, yeah.
Okay.
Have you been involved with the BME network?
No, I didn't actually know there was one. So I guess that's another thing, making sure it's
Publicising.
yeah, a lot more.
As your manifesto is not massively texty, I'm just going to ask you to explain some of the things you've written.
Okay, yeah.
So firstly, you talk about greater cultural and faith awareness. How would you expand what's been done this year?
Okay, so the main thing that, for example, the Black History Month, that was so obvious this year. So I definitely want to continue that. And also get other things involved, like we have Interfaith Week in other universities, which isn't so big in UCL, so maybe get that involved. Just try and make it as many events as union would let me, basically.
You also talk about the attainment gap. How would you seek to address that?
Okay, so when I first was writing up my manifesto, I thought, when I was researching all around, I know there is a big attainment gap and that's very obvious and I think everyone knows that, but I initially thought we had to do research so that the university, they don't really do anything unless you give them the research, but I found out Chanel's actually done that research. So hopefully next year I put that research into play and getting more mentoring done and just letting everyone know that there is a problem that has to be addressed. I think that's the first initial thing that has to be done.
Are there any particular, programs or initiatives that you would set up, that are that could address that gap?
I think the main thing would be, for me personally, from school, I think school was more focused on getting the grades, but we didn't really pick up exam tips, how to use past papers effectively, how to take notes, those sort of little things they don't pick up. And I think that would be where to start, make sure everyone has those sort of key skills, I guess, that you might not have picked up from school, and it's not too late to pick it up yet.
Okay, you also talk about mentoring. How would you use mentoring to link to the other initiatives that you've put up?
So I know Chanel's started up a mentoring scheme this year, so just make sure that continues and make sure it's publicised as well. For example, I didn't know that there was such a scheme.
What do you think mentoring actually brings? How do you think it would be beneficial?
I think the main thing is just having someone to who has succeeded, so it's kind of someone you can talk through your problems with, or someone you might even realise you have these issues. When I came to university, I didn't realise I couldn't take notes effectively until my 3rd year, and I was like, oh my god, comparing my notes, it's really that bad. So just being able to know right from the beginning, so you can deal with it, so you don't have to suffer, not even realising you're suffering until the very end.
Do you think that's specific to the BME role?
I would like it to be specific, but of course, it would be open to. I'm not saying that it would be only for BME students, but I do think it is something that mostly BME do know, especially if you've got parents who haven't been to university as well, so you haven't picked that up from your parents even, so you might not have someone else. So mentoring would be really important in that sense.
And you want to form a UCL BME alumni network.
Mm-hmm.
Why? What do you think that will achieve?
Because I think there's it's really important to get inspiration, and a lot of the events that I've gone to, for example, I'm quite involved with not quite involved, I go to a lot of the events with the finance finance events things. That's what I want to go into after I graduate. And I think in the 3 years I've been going to events, I've only ever seen one BME person giving the talk, and that's kind of, if I think about it now, it is kind of depressing. You do want to see someone like yourself, so you kind of feel inspired, yeah, I can be there soon. Not that, I don't mean to say that you need a BME person there to make you feel inspired, but it would help, so it would be quite nice to have that.
Okay, and then you talk about national representation. How do you see yourself liaising with other student unions to get that across?
So I know UCL is the first BME, having the first BME officer, so I think it's important to do that well and hopefully get other universities to get full-time officers as well.
Are there any national initiatives that you would be interested in running?
I haven't actually looked into that. I'm not sure if there is any national initiatives, so that was something I'd be interested in finding out, like if there was anything that students were interested in.
Okay.
The NUS Black Students Conference gave UCLU the award Best Student Union of the Year for creating this position. Do you believe that this position has so far been working? Do you think it's been improving the experience of BME students at UCL?
Well, this year so far, like the main thing I've noticed with the Black History Month, like that was very obvious this year and it's never been before. So that in itself I think is a big achievement, and I don't think it's the same like that in any other university, because I've got friends from different universities and they haven't seen something like this. So that in itself I think is a big achievement, but it's working from that and expanding so there's more. So, yeah.
This year is the first year, as I mentioned, of BME and Women's Officer.
Yeah.
Do you believe the other liberation campaigns should have a full-time UCLU officer?
Definitely. I definitely agree with that, yeah.
Okay. So would you campaign for that within the union?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I do think that, because that university is for students, so if students can't like run for full time, obviously I think it's a bit pointless.
You also mentioned on your manifesto, as your 6th point, that you want to drop in BME surgeries.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of issues would you think these would come up? I mean, what do you want to talk about in these?
That'll be up to students really. I mean, for me personally, like I know, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this. Well, I'll be honest, like some of my friends have dealt with like issues from teachers being not openly racist, but making them feel a bit uncomfortable in lessons. And that's not something people, because there's no obvious, like they haven't said anything in particular, so they don't feel like they have a right to complain, but they might feel more comfortable speaking to a student about it, and then like I could probably like encourage them to complain, because unless people complain about stuff like this, it's not going to get solved. So things like that, I mean, that's the biggest thing probably I can think of right now, but I'm sure there's issues that I haven't thought of that people have, so which is why I put that on.
In terms of having drop-in surgeries, obviously this is a great initiative if people go, but UCL is quite notorious for having quite a sense of apathy about student politics. Like a lot of people don't get involved, aren't aware that things are happening. How would you make sure that people knew that you were kind of the face of this position?
I think the main thing I want to do, which I've seen, it's been done quite well in another university, in Queen Mary, is like literally just walking around with like a t-shirt on or something. I think people have to see you. Like it's difficult sitting in the office and writing out emails and hoping people read them. People generally don't. I personally didn't. So if I could like actually be on campus and people could see me and they'd know who I am, hopefully that would work.
Okay.